Now, the first thing that we'll talk about is creating a Facebook form. And here I have this create button, which creates, by convention, the major object or item that your application is going to deal with. And so I'm calling a file called newpic.php, and that's the file that creates the form and handles the processing. And here's the form, and here's the file. Now, the file is lengthy, but a lot of it is repetitious because, for example, the code for the name of the pick, the address, all of the code for each of these items is basically the same. It just varies by the name of the field. So let's take a look at what's in this file. We have up here at the beginning the config.php file and the facebook.php file. That's what we've always had. We also have the list styles. We create the Facebook object. We get the user. We require login at this point because we're going to be updating the database and we need to know who it is. We don't just let anyone come along and update the database. And the dashboard. Now, the additional line of code here is a library, and many Facebook apps have one or more libraries of utility routines. And lib.php is going to be added to throughout this application, and it contains, as I said, utility routines that are used to support the application. At the moment, it has only one function in it. It's called do-one-selector. And what it's going to do is to manage creating a selector down here. This is a selector that's hard-coded. This is hard-coded, but here we're going to have to do a little bit of manipulation when we come down to the bottom of the form, and that's going to be done in lib.php. But for now, let's take a look at what basically happens here. We'll get to the zone dialog later because that's the item that pops up when I click here. So we'll skip over that for now and go directly into the form itself. You can see we have the dashboard, we have the tabs, and now we have the header here. Add more pics to your favorite downtown. And now we'll go into the form. To go into the form and show you the structure of it, what I've done is to use a feature that BBEdit has that I like, and other browsers and editing software have this. I can collapse sections of the code. And what I've done is I've collapsed all the subsections within the editor form so that you can see what the structure is. And this is the heart of the form. It's an FB editor. It has an action. The action is the file to go to actually do the work. This file is newpic. It has the interface, and then the file called addpic is the one that takes the data from the form and puts it into the database. Also, as an attribute of the FB editor element, we have the label width, and that's the width of this column over here. You can also set the width of the total form, but you need the label width there. So this is required, and then within the FB editor form, I can have an editor text field, and you can see I have 4 here, the name, address 1, address 2, and city. That's name, address 1, address 2, and city. Then I come to a state selector, which is going to be an editor custom field, more text fields. Then I have a divider. Down here, that little line below facts. Then I have a text area, another divider, and then I will have another selector down here, and at the very bottom, I have what's called a button set. And the button set is that pair of buttons, the add and the cancel buttons. Add, pick, or cancel, and you can see each one has a value, which is what appears on the interface. And you can see there's either an editor button or a cancel button here. That's the internal code that we're using inside the button set. So that's what the structure of this FB editor is going to be, and I'll walk you through a few of the internal structures, such as an FB editor text.